I can check on my phone if we
Yeah,
need
I'm
to.
going to check my phone too. Almighty morning, everyone. We are supposedly live on Restream, and Mercury retrograde and the full moon are definitely working um, the computers today, and it does say that we are. I did get a
Because you're on
notice
live.
that we're live. So great. So there's no intro today other than us. And speaking of us, I am my guest today is Kevin Blais. Now, I met Kevin online. He came in on one of the lives and has been with us ever since. He also comes on Tuesday night when he's awake enough to do so.
Energetically awake.
Okay, energetically awake. Well, I know that you have taken some naps sometime, thinking that I'm going to get up in time, and you sleep
Yeah, I
through it.
do that a lot though. So it's a trick I play myself. Hey Vic, welcome aboard, man. Good to see you, my brother. Hope you're doing well today, man.
Yes. So there's no music today. There's probably no videos today. I don't know if I can even pull up Victor's favorite stuff. Let's see real quick. Ah, it's still here.
All right, that's cool.
That's cool. Take a picture, Victor. So, okay, he's been asking for more of those so he can take pictures
Right on, right
and
on.
save them. Anyway, so Kevin, please introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Kevin, and a lot of you people know me as that the witty comment guy. um, it's good to hear, Victor. Uh, and yeah, I came across Juliana live, and it was a little bit over a year ago, and the whole collective, everybody here, Victor, Bonnie, Jess, KK, Harley, everybody. I met strictly through them. Beautiful, beautiful group of people, and but it was just one of those things. As life goes on, you come across something, and if you're listening and paying attention, well, you'll hang out and you'll see where that goes. The choice is, whatever. You could walk away from something like that, but if it's meant for you, something else will circle back around. At least I find in my personal experience. I mean, maybe yours is different, but that's really the long and short of it. That's how I came across these folks, and I think it was pivotal in my spiritual growth at that point in time because I wasn't really, there was a lot of different things in flux where I was, like I wasn't really certain about where I was. I thought I was, and I thought I was spiritually solid, but soon I had more to learn. And you never stop learning. I'm realizing that now.
Right, right,
Hey,
exactly.
Bonnie, good to see you.
Oh, you have see. Oh, there she is. Yep. And Brenda Watt is in, and Brenda used to come to Tuesday night class, and she's in the Houston area.
Right on.
So, and we'd love you to come back, Brenda. We really miss you. Now that the time
I,
difference has
Look,
been
everybody changes time except Arizona. I don't know what that says about time.
we do not want it at 110 degrees at 10 o'clock at night. Sorry, we don't want that.
I don't want it at 10 o'clock in the morning either, though.
Well, one thing about the morning time is that's the coolest part of the day. So we appreciate that. We can get up, you know, very early in the morning. We do here anyway. So
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. The desert has a real different energy. You know what I mean? It gets to that point in time where it's just, yeah, well, it's too hot. We're gonna have to just take it easy here. In the
yeah,
morning, you're right, it's more active, and at night, it's a little bit more active. I don't know what that says, but it's true.
I mean, we've had up to 126 degrees. So it's just another, I don't want 110 ever. So
Yeah,
that's why
right.
you moved to Tennessee, so you didn't get the heat.
That's
I
right.
know that's not true, but and we
There's a song that says Tennessee, there ain't no place I'd rather be. And every time I see Bonnie, it always rings in my head.
ah, have you been to Tennessee?
I passed through it, but no, I've
Oh,
never really been.
yeah.
I
I
want to
love
go
it.
to
Very green.
yeah, I want to go to like Nashville and see some of the music, Memphis and stuff like that, and experience some of that that music history because it's got a rich music history.
Yeah, a lot of the area does. I did love it when I lived there, and I did a walkathon. Oh hell no! What? I'm not sure what you meant by hell no.
Tennessee, I don't know. that was like
But
3 seconds ago, I think.
yeah, and I did a walkathon back in the day. We did walkathons, and CCNR played at the end of the walkathon. So you can imagine. I mean, to me, it was a normal day because they were a local band. But to
I
even
had in California there was there was this Jerry Garcia and David Grisman were doing this concert, this like a ski thing. It was in in the warmer months and stuff like that. So if you had a ticket, they give you the gondola ride up, and you paid $26. If you were bold, you could walk up the mountain. And if you got to the top, they let you in, and they gave you a little pin that said, "Hey, I scaled the mountain for Jerry." So yeah, that's kind of like a walkathon.
yeah, kind of. Yeah, I love CCNR too. It was great having them there. Yeah. So, Kevin, how did you get to this place? I know you've done a lot of things. How did your life start out?
You know, honestly, Julie, my life path, even I didn't realize it till I was oblivious to it for like up till most of it. You know what I mean?
I
Um,
know. I've
I
been
didn't
there.
realize I was on that spiritual path, but at the beginning, I put that out there that that's kind of what I was wanting to do. I didn't know what I was doing. I had really big questions that I was like, why am I here? What's this? And I really, really wanted, but I didn't have the answer. I just look back and think, man, there was just nothing there. But that set me on my path, and it's always been, you know, one of the spiritual nature. So everything that I ever kind of got involved with had kind of a spiritual um, thing going on. Even if I didn't realize it, it was still happening. And you play that Valerie Bertinelli thing where she tells you about the universe smacking you and hitting you with bricks and stuff. That's really true because because that was my path. Anytime I deviated too far, where the trajectory was like, yeah, you're not really going on your path, and you go too far off it, it might be bad. Spirit would knock me and put me, something really, really jarring and put me in a scenario. Maybe like if tarot, it would be more of like a tower kind of deal. So and then that would put me back on the path, of course, until I deviated from it again, in which case rinse and repeat. These are lessons I really enjoyed learning, evidently, but that was really my whole path, because as I got to a point, you can only grow so far in a box. And I got to a point, have a situation where I'm expanded, my thought process and everything around me's changed. So I've grown out of that, and I'm in search on to my next thing, and I go in that direction, searching for whatever. I left, you know, joined the Navy because I have an adventurous heart, and I had still had that thing, and I had a void, and I was searching for it. Not only I got involved with the Grateful Dead, but I had an experience where that changed me to the point where I realized that there was more to that, and that always stuck with me at that point. And it didn't stick with me because on the outset, if you're not a Grateful Dead fan, especially back then, it was very cult like, and it was very you could talk to somebody and I don't know the Grateful Dead, but those guys are freaks, and their fans are weird. They're zealots and stuff. So I mean, but there was more to that, but it didn't really matter what people thought, because that's it. But there was a lot in that community, a lot of spirituality, which exposed me to different ideologies, Ram Dass, Buddhism, Zen, all different kinds of things, all of which are very spiritual in nature. But I had no really idea that's what my quest was, but that's what I was doing, right?
Right.
So as I travel through my journey, that's just what I've taken with me in terms of what I'm picking up, and every event leading to another event that brings me right here today, talking to you fine, beautiful folks.
Yes. So, Grateful Dead, the Navy. I mean, what were some of the stories from that really, yeah, you know,
Well, all right. So, okay. Honestly, the Grateful Dead, I was, we'll start with that introduction first. So I got out of high school and went to college. Again, I'm exactly what you would think a 20-year-old male would be at that point in time. Really didn't give a fuck about anybody except myself. Living in my own bubble, very self-absorbed and materialistic, and not at all spiritual. Before that, my head, hey, Angie. Before that, though, I tuned out of religion. I was born, Roman Catholic and stuff, and again, I was asking questions they didn't have answers for. Just shut up and pray. It's like, but that doesn't work for me. I don't want to pray. Why is this God so pissed off at everybody? What did we do? But nobody really had any kind of thing except you seek salvation or whatever. So that just didn't cut it for me. So naturally, my rebellious, adventurous nature, I shunned religion, and as growing up without a father and latchkey, I was pretty wild as a youth. So my mom got to the point she couldn't really control me. There was no male influence in the house. So I went to, lived a summer with some reborn again Christians. And but that point in time, there was really nothing that they could do for me. If I mean, I gave it a shot. I thought, yeah, maybe there's something to this and stuff, but I just didn't see. Again, they didn't have any answers that I was asking questions for either. And so I remember sitting out of this youth group thing. And if anything, I learned more how to be a criminal and how to like get away with stuff. You know what I mean? I was taking the guy taught me how to drive, and I would steal his car. It was automatic. So me and the kid next door we were really good friends. Um, and so we would sneak out at night, push the car down the driveway, take it down the street, pop start it, and we would go cruising, right? And then bring it back. And I'll never forget. I'm busting it up. He's taking me to school or someplace. He's taking me to school or someplace, and he's like, "Man, I thought I had a full tank of gas." I'm in the back seat just trying not to bust up. It's like, you did.
well, I appreciate it. Thanks.
So, I mean, that just really only turned me off to hold the whole religion and stuff. They didn't have any. To me, they have they were said one thing and do another kind of thing. They didn't really. And the only thing that actually ever gave me pause to think that there's more something spiritual. The wife, she really had faith. She was really a reborn again Christian, kind, loving, the kind of Christian you would think Christians would be, right? And the husband was, I don't know what his problem was, but so I remember I could leave and hang out with my friends, but my chore was to mow the grass. And if I finished the lawn, I could leave. The lawn was huge. I wasn't finishing the lawn. It was kind of a joke played against me. But I knew that. They had these big pine trees with these needles in it, right? So I had been taking, and I don't know anything about engines, right? So I was taking engine repair. So I thought, hey, if I take this, it was a 2-stroke engine. I remember throwing all these pine needles in the intake so it would gum up. This thing is not starting. And I really, really tried. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is definitely not starting. So I go back in, right? And I tell the wife, I'm like, hey, man, this thing ain't working. So I guess I can go. She's like, well, let's take a look. So she goes out there, and I give the college try. She knows how to start the mower. I mean, she's no fool. She's trying to start it, nothing's working. So I'm walking back. She goes, hold on, Kevin. Come here. Sit down and pray with me. I'm not praying, but I'll pretend. So she puts hands on this thing, and she's like praying, and she's doing all this thing, and I'm just like, come on. I got to meet my friends. We're going to go get high. Come on. So she gets done with that, right? All right, she goes, so go ahead and give it another shot. I pull it, the thing starts. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And she goes, go ahead, just keep mowing, and we'll see what happens. I ended up mowing the whole lawn. I shit you not. The whole time I'm like, now I'm just watching. I'm like, come on. I'm waiting, but For whatever reason, that worked. I didn't have the faith. As a matter of fact, I was on the other end of the spectrum. I was like, I hope this thing fails. I'm getting ready to get out of here. But it didn't. That was the only thing I ever pulled away from that phase. And throughout, because I just thought that was really, really kind of strange. Nothing, there's no way that thing should have started. There's no way it should have ran and finished the line, yet it did.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I know. I'm just yammering.
No, you're good. It's just that Victor has a joke. Excuse, I need to share this joke, but LOL, laughing out loud. Hysterical. What's Donald Trump's spirit animal? The wall runs.
Walrus.
Walrus. Okay.
The wall, get it? He always wants to build the wall somebody else is going to pay for. Us.
Yeah.
But anyway, Victor, we're not talking about that guy, Vic. Come on.
Yeah. No, not today. Not today. Not here. Not now. We're good. It wasn't that bad. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put it up. So it's just like,
but yeah, so that just so I had it. So fast forward to the whole Grateful Dead thing. At that point, after I left that, I moved back home. I had a better understanding of all right, well, what's expected and the boundaries and the rules and how to play within them. I didn't need to necessarily be such a pain in the ass. So, but I did definitely, I did definitely want to, get out and adventure and live my life, because I didn't like the fact that, at that point in time, I'm doing some other stuff. So that's, I went to college, but as you can imagine, my my major in college was partying. But you know what? That's not actually a real major. That's just something people do.
I know. Some
So
people would
needless
have
to say,
graduated with the highest of honors, right?
but the beautiful thing about college is that and especially for young folks, you're at a point where your mind is open. You can absorb alternate ways of thinking that you hadn't learned before. So that was my first exposure to, like, yeah, there's a bigger world out there. And there's a lot more going on. And I obviously like doing certain recreational activities that were more conducive to, mind expansion, let's say. So one day I went to my very first Grateful Dead concert, and it was actually, I was coming home. I was at college, and they were playing here in Rochester on my girlfriend's birthday, believe it or not. And then I read, this is another story, a little small tangent. And then I went through the song list, but anyway, I digress. So, and I got in for free. So this was a whole thing. And I had listened to them, and I was hanging out with some people that were into the Dead and stuff, but I hadn't seen them, and I wasn't really a fan at that point. But I got in for free, and it was a good time. So that was great. And then it really kind of took hold. But being where I was at and the way the Grateful Dead was, I didn't have complete access to them. So the next time I had a chance to do them was the 4th of July, and they were playing a concert. Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, and the Grateful Dead.
Wow.
Summer party, 4th of July, 1986. Phew, man, yeah, I'm there. I'm 20 years old, 19 years old, 20. But anyway, yeah, so I'm ready to roll. Let's do this. So I go there, and I didn't have respect for the kind of things that I was doing, because remember, we already established that I was pretty self-absorbed, right? So I had a little too much of certain substances, but the thing was, and again, another one of those things, the feelings that I always have carried with me since, is that I saw exactly, I can't even explain it, because you can't formulate it into words, but trust me when I tell you, I saw how everything was everything and the connection of the universe. And I was like, just, this is fucking great news. If I had a pen, I could write this down. And then my mission at that point was to find a pen. I didn't know, though, that looking for the pen, I lost the concept. And then from that point on, since been looking for it. I have a pen, and I will never, ever, ever be caught without a pen, I can assure you. But the thing is, that's when my trajectory changed. I joined the Navy. Now, again, at that point, left to my own devices, in the environment I was in, it could have went in a very, very different direction. But I joined the Navy because I wanted to explore, and I thought this is probably a good way to just do something to get out of here, because I didn't want to be here. And again, that whole universal shift put me in isolated in Guam. So there's no drugs in Guam. There's no Grateful Dead in Guam. There's just heat in the Navy. And but I didn't see it then, and I didn't really see it until several years after that I needed that period of time to adjust to what happened to me at that day at that Grateful Dead concert, because that was a lot of spiritual intake that I didn't. You can't really get. It's like a fire hose of this information that just gets shot at you, and you can't really process that without some degree of solitude. And that was kind of the universe's way to put everything into perspective. I think when I left Guam, I then moved into the Bay Area where I was in the Navy, but I had a better respect. And maybe that's just growth as a person, age wise, or maybe that's mind wise, or however it works. But I had a different, healthier respect for a lot of things that weren't, that I didn't have before. You know what I mean? And I realized that the world is bigger, and there's a lot more things that are greater than I am, and so there's more respect that needed to be given, more lessons to learn too. I mean, I needed to be a different person. So that's where I came into that part. Well, maybe.
Navy. So, and home was Rochester, California, Navy, Guam. So you were exploring.
Oh, I was definitely exploring. I mean, my naval career, I feel a lot of when I feel bad when people say thank you for your service when they oh, you were in the Navy, thank you for your service. No, thank you, because I mean I didn't have any intention of dying for my country, but it was a different time then. You know what I mean? It wasn't. We were on the brink of a nuclear annihilation, like we are now, but different. Um, but it wasn't going to be a kind of thing where everybody was going to die. You know what I mean? It's just that Russia's had their weapons pointed at us, we had ours pointed at them. Reagan was pretty pissed off and everything. You know what I mean? It was tense. So I didn't have any intention of actually dying. My goal was just to explore. And the reason why, the exact reason I went to boot camp, and I got in there, and they we're in this big room, and I got long hair and stuff like that. So I stand up, and I walk over. I decide that this really isn't for me. So I stand up and I walk up to the dude in charge. He's sitting at a desk and he's yelling and stuff, and they keep you up late and stuff, and it's really disoriented. And at this point, I just had enough bullshit. I'm like, so I walk up to the desk and I tell the guy, I'm like, look, man, uh, which way out of here? Just let me get out of here. Don't worry about it. I can get a ride home. I'm not worried about that. I just show me the way out. And he looks at me flabbergasted. Then here's this asshole coming up to me. He looks at me and he just screams at me, you ain't going anywhere. You're Uncle Sam's now. I'm like, yeah, I'm not Uncle Sam's. And that shifted my mindset. I'm like, you can imprison my body. Okay. I'll give you that. It's cool because I know in 4 years, this thing's over. But you cannot harness what's in here. And I think that was pivotal because from that point on, I didn't give a fuck about Uncle Sam, only because Uncle Sam wouldn't let me just do my thing. I care about the country. I care about that, but I wasn't about to die for somebody else's foolishness. You know what I mean? If somebody was at my doorstep and they wanted to conquer, that was my feeling. I'd be happy to fight to the death for that. And I would go to a revolution right now for the country because that is a strong thing. But to die because somebody else ordered somebody, that wasn't my thing. So that's why I feel bad when people say, "Hey, thank you for your service." No, I really didn't have any intention of it was a different time, and I didn't have any intention of doing that. And if I was 20 at that point in time with the mindset I had when 9/11 happened, I can't guarantee that I would have been patriotic either. You know what I mean? That wouldn't have been a thing. I didn't like it like every other American, but I don't know that my dedication for the country, for the government, really ran that deep. And I didn't have no intention of dying for it. That wasn't it. So what was my intention then? To explore, to experience it. And they took me to a lot of beautiful places on Uncle Sam's dime. and I did a lot of interesting things, um, just because I was pushing that boundary. But I was all the time growing as a person spiritually and everything, even for my flagrant disregard for the government and authority.
Yeah. But you got through it.
Yeah, absolutely, with an honorable discharge. Not only did I get through it, I extended an extra 6 months, an extra 6 months and stuff. I learned, what I mean, I had a healthy respect for the naval tradition and stuff like that. I really, I mean, there's a lot at ground level. It was such a satisfying experience. The people I met, the places I've been to, and the things I did. It was very, very satisfying at that ground level, and even at the level, shipwide. When there was the earthquake in California, in '89, we were helping the community, and that to me was awesome. I was like, wow, I'd rather do this than sail around in 10 submarines and destroyers. This seems like fun. But you know what I mean. And I got a humanitarian service medal and stuff like that. But everybody on the ship did, because we all pitched in. Um, so I mean, that was really, really good. Like I said, the political aspect of the military, and when they send people into foolishness, and just to flex their muscle, then that I didn't agree with.
And I appreciate that, especially these days, that sentiment. Um, okay. So in your bio, you mentioned Buddhism. So were you in the Navy? It sounded like you were in the Navy when you found Buddhism.
Well, yeah, I had, and I went to like Japan, and and that again, the whole Grateful Dead thing, and this was actually on my second trip, so I had been living in the Bay Area, so I had more exposure. Um, and I was learning about Buddhism. And I thought, yeah, this seems like a real cool philosophy. And some of it was really solid, and some of it was not necessarily. It didn't really resonate with me. But I remember when I'd gone to Japan, they had these Buddhist temples and stuff that I went to, and it just was so just I don't know. It really was a good feeling that seeing that, and it just like, so this is something. I mean, I never seen a Buddhist temple up till that point, and because there's none in Rochester, and there probably is in the Bay Area, but I wasn't looking for them. Um, so it kind of put into perspective, but again, I was still questioning. There's actually more. There's a bigger thing here, and it was it, I don't know, it really resonated with me, and that's it. To me, retrospectively, when I look on my path, I think my life is only interesting to me, but I see, oh yeah, man, because if even I had that exposure to Buddhism prior to that with the Grateful Dead, if I'd never gone to Japan, but maybe if I was stationed on the East Coast and going to Europe and Africa and places like that, would have been a different thing. But no, I was placed there, and that's where I went, and that was it. Because my first ship, I'd gone to Japan and all those places too, but I didn't have the respect that I grew into for it. So the second time around, it was more of what is this culture about, and what is happening. So there's a lot of different, a lot of different things.
And you continue that Buddhist philosophy or
I
in your
just adopted,
exploration?
you know, I just adopted what suited me,
Okay.
and anything like anything else. I mean, truly, if it works, and it's we were discussing earlier, if it works for you, then it's good, right? I mean, if it's putting you in a positive thing, it's putting you on your path, then it's good. And if it's something that you can't, to that point, I have a friend of mine, a very, very dear friend of mine, love him like a brother, and he's really more into Buddhism, knows much more about it. I met him after the Navy when I moved back to Rochester, ironically enough. But that's another story. So he is of the belief that the whole karmic wheel, and that happens for what bad. I don't buy into that. I know that there's probably some of that exists. You know what I mean? In past life, whatever. And that's probably true. And it stains your soul, and you have to work through that in this life in order to get through. I agree with that, but I don't think that really defines your suffering. Your suffering, I believe, and my own experience, but I think everybody, your suffering is really what you create in your mind. if you want to suffer, your mind is going to give you several options to suffer. I'm not saying that somebody that has anxiety that's not real. No, no, no. That's very real because that's your reality and it's real. But the core and what's causing that is what you look at. You're not anxiety because this is an affliction that passed down from generation to generation. Your anxiety because this is a belief that you tell yourself or whatever. If it's chemical imbalance, then yeah, maybe you need some medication. But whatever it is, it's certainly something that you have the tools to work with.
Exactly. Of all the places that you visited, what stands out most? Would it be Japan or would it be someplace else?
What do you mean, like Hmm, wow, yeah,
The most
that's
impactful place that you have visited.
the middle of the ocean where there's nothing in sight, mostly in the warmer, like maybe Hawaii, Guam, that area, because the water is so clear. Without the garbage patch, um, beyond that, um, there's water. It's pristine. It's clear, and that always is. And that the Titanic on King of the World. That I did that, man, before Titanic. My ship didn't sink though, so
Goodness.
I thought it was one time, but no. And I would sit there and I would gaze out, and the water was it was like cobalt blue and so crystal clear and calling you. And I understood what when in the Iliad Odyssey there when they wrote about the sirens and stuff like that. That I understood sirens because I only wanted to jump in, but reasons like you jump in, you're gonna fucking die, and I knew that it's like, and then there was like, well, you're on a ship, and they do the man overboard. I was on the man overboard crew. I would have died. Even if the other crew was doing it, I know how our crew works. It's like I knew the mechanics of it. We would do drills and drills and drills and drills. Throw this Charlie Oscar out, and it would have the smoke flare and stuff like that, and they'd be timed and see how long it takes for us to notice the man overboard, find the man overboard, and retrieve the man overboard. We lost so many of those things. That's part of the garbage patch now. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, anybody goes over, they're bumming because there's just no way we're going to find them because the ocean is so vast. And in that vastness, you really, 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 really finally understand how insignificant you are, but yet how powerful and how grand because you have this all open to you. And then at night, all the stars, everything, you can see everything. And that is really probably the one place. Because every other place is touched by human influence. But when you're sitting in the middle of the night, in the middle of the ocean, looking out to the stars, that's just you and the universe. So I would say that was probably the most impactful.
Wow. Of all places. No, I think that probably would be for a lot of people because the vastness of it all. And to me, that is what our journey is all about, is accepting the vastness. There are no limits. Because, I mean, you couldn't see limits where you were at.
There was none, nothing. No, it was just simply everything was just there. And I agree with you. It is certainly open, and it's really what we create at that point because at that, I mean, if you look at it in terms of a ship, so I'm going to be sailing into another port. What am I going to create there? Nobody knows me at that port. I don't know that port, so I can be whatever I feel. I was in the Navy, so I was a sailor, but the metaphor there is there. You sail into your port. If you look at the tarot, there's that one card where the dude's sailing away, and the other person's in the canoe or whatever they got going on, and they're going to nice, calmer, better waters and stuff. That's the same type of vibe. You know what I mean? You have that thing. You're going there, and that is actually a really thing. That's why I would say that. I mean, all the places I've been, beautiful Korea, wherever I've gone, beautiful, beautiful places, and the culture, everything's always very, very interesting. But it's the most profound, the most impactful, definitely in the middle of the ocean.
Total nothingness, other than the ship that you're on.
Yeah, that's your lifeline.
Um, how is it at night there? You did say it, but to me, the ships would have a lot of lights on it. So how?
No, they for military ships like cruise ships and stuff. Yeah, that's a floating party. You probably see that 12 miles where the horizon and Earth bends. But for for military ships, they got to cruise no lights. As a matter of fact, when you open the door, or if you can't light your cigarettes or anything like that. You open the door, or if you got to turn on a light, there's a light thing. You got to get your eyes sensitive and stuff. And everything's red lights. They got flashlights with red lights. Everything's red lights. It's like you're walking through some sort of fucking bizarre brothel. It's just everything's red, man. So that's how they do it. So you can't see anything. When you're and there's no light pollution from any city because you're in the middle of the ocean. You know everything's too far away to see. The stars all of a sudden become visible. I mean, you look out and you can see the galaxy um, from your house, but there's that light pollution. There's a lot of the stars there that you just don't see. They're there, and then you see pictures that NASA takes, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that's what it looks like." You look outside, it's like, it don't look like that, but it does when the light is there, and you're only on the you have nothing but light. That's the only light coming through because there is no other light.
Right. The light or the absence of light.
Oh, right, exactly. Like love or the absence of love. That's pretty much all we got.
Right. Yeah. So, wow. I can't even imagine what that'd be like. Now, my son, one of my sons, was in the Marines
Mm-hmm.
after you, but and he sailed to I don't know exactly where. Oh, he went to the continent of Africa and a few other places, but he never really mentioned anything like that. So that was also a part of your journey. So you've been on your journey.
Yeah, all time till the end.
Right. Yeah. Did you feel tied down at any time during this journey?
Tie down how? Like
Stuck.
I mean, um,
You weren't stuck in the Navy because you had your mind. Your body might have been stuck there.
I've never been
Exactly.
mentally stuck. I mean, mentally stuck to the point where I've painted myself into a corner. I mean, I've been in scenarios where I couldn't see a way out. Um, but I've never been stuck. It's always well, this is all about growth, and it comes to a point. There might be a smidgen of time where because everything ebbs and flows, right? So the energy might be all grand, and then you get involved in something, and it starts to go down, and then your energy's sinking, and then it's not really panning out because mostly because I'm getting in my own way and I'm sticking myself and I'm painting myself a different picture or telling myself a different story. And then all of a sudden I find myself, I'm stuck, but it's a sticking of my own creation, be it complacency, uh, lazy, whatever you want to call it. But in that, in that in that energy, there's still light, there's still learning, there's still something. If you encounter that shadow, you got to feed it love to heal it. I mean, it's there. So, and then what happens is you grow from that, and then you start to feel unstuck, and then things change. And if you're perceptive and you're to the point, you could see your path unfold. If you try to force it, I mean, for me, I don't know. Other people can do, maybe, I guess. I don't know. I can't. So I don't want to force it. I just kind of want to let it unfold. But I realize, as in my life, my thing to do is just to listen for it. It's there because something will come up, and if I'm not discerning enough, it's like you can't always just grab the first thing that comes up. I'm living proof of that because I'm sitting in it. Um, because it seems to fit you. You have to kind of let it unfold, and because there's a path there, and if you're willing to see that path and listen to it, you'll get to the next path. My personal problem is always I'm trying to be 4 steps ahead when I really should be just focusing on the step I'm on, and then there's the next step. So there's those are two distinctly different energies in my life where it's like I'm like, this is the end goal. All right. And there's nothing wrong with having that end goal, but trying to force seeing the path to that end goal. So if I'm going to do A, B, C, and D, I found personally that doesn't work. Because I might get A, I might even get part of B, but it's going to go sideways on my way to C, and then I'm not going to see that, and then I'm going to end up back at B, or even worse at W, which is not even on the list. So, you know, what's important to me, there's a path that is shown to you. So I don't think spirit ever gives us anything more than we can handle. Cataclysmic shit happens all the time to people, and they feel like it's so crushing, it's so horrible, but truthfully, you can see your way through it, because it's going to be okay. But and the spirit's just giving you this for growth, and it's one of those those kind of things. I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Well, you were doing fine.
I know, but
I understand. Yeah. Okay. So, not stuck. How did you get from? I assume your base was in California.
I was in Alameda, actually,
Oh,
which
okay.
was a Bay Area. I picked that one. I didn't pick Guam, but I did pick Alameda.
But you ended up in Guam. Was that the first place that they had
That was
you?
the first place, yeah. That was my first duty station, and I got that duty station again. So karmically, if you want a little bit of a chuckle, karma does work out. Um, I'm living proof again, but so I went in, and I had to take a lot of tests. And back then, they were really serious about drug use and stuff like that. And when I was talking to the recruiter, I'm like, yeah, I was honest with him. So yeah, I smoke a lot of pot and stuff like that. He's like, we can't take you. All right. Well, he's like, but they got a quota to me. So he's like, well, we concocted this story, and he's like, well, when was the last time you got high? I'm like before I came in here. I was okay. Well, that's not going to work. so um, we concocted this story. I was at this Grateful Dead concert. I could recite the story for you pretty much verbatim because it's drilled in me. I was at this Grateful Dead concert with some friends that invited me. I'd never smoked pot, but maybe once or twice before in my life at parties, trying to be cool. and somebody offered me, because then he asked about, because they were going through the checklist of drugs at the recruiter. Have you done that? I'm like, yeah. If you smoke hash, yup. Oh my God, I could just see this face is like, man, how am I going to get this kid in the Navy without him going to jail or whatever? So, yeah, so then somebody handed me a pipe and said it was a salad. I didn't know what that meant, but I later found out it was hash and marijuana mixed together. And then I smoked that, and I got sick. I forgot the rest of it, and that was the last time I smoked it. So I write this the whole thing out, and in my recruiting thing. Um, Halfway into boot camp, they pull me out of my thing, and it's never a good thing when they're calling you, singling you out. And I'm like, oh, this is great. So they pull me in there. They hand me a piece of paper and a pen. I had one, but they gave me one. Um, and he said, I want you to write down the last time you smoked marijuana. Write it down. What happened? I'm like, okay. So because I had this story memorized, because the recruiter and I rehearsed it so many times, I wrote it down and I slid it back to him. Okay. Then I left, and that was the last I heard of it. Now, because I didn't take my basic training seriously. They didn't have my mind, so that the brainwashing didn't work on me. And so I was what they would have called a fuck up, because I didn't care. I remember I had to go to the bathroom one time, and we were getting yelled at, but I'm like, I'm either pissing my pants or I'm going to the bathroom. But either way, it's not going to be a good scene. So I stood up, I walked around the bunk, snuck into the bathroom, and then I went to the bathroom. Now there was a thing: somebody wasn't flushing the toilet, and we were getting punished mercilessly because somebody was not flushing the toilet. So I'm like looking at this, and I'm like, if I don't flush this toilet, that asshole's going to come in here. He's going to see that, and everybody's going to get crushed. I'm getting crushed either way. So I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, all right. So I flush the toilet, and it's so loud because it's a big. I went to Great Lakes, so it's like echoing, and so I'm like, I walk out of there. My two company commanders who one was like John Wayne and one was like Inspector Clouseau. He was a little Filipino guy, but his accent was Inspector Clouseau. There is no way I'm taking anybody with that energy seriously. But I walk out, and they're both looking at me like, what, what? And the Filipino guy, he's like, Blais, what a puck, what a puck. Because he couldn't pronounce with Filipinos. Um, their F's and P's are different. So if it's an F word, it's they pronounce it with a P, and if it's a P word, they pronounce it with an F in their English. It's beautiful. I love it. I really love that when I talk to a Filipino person and that's what's happening. But anyway, I think we got a squirrel. But
Yeah.
anyway, so he's like looking at me, totally surprised, asking me, "What am I doing?" I'm like, "I had to go to the bathroom," and he's like, "You don't just go to the bathroom." He's totally surprised. So he sat me in front of the thing and made me do a million push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that. I didn't care. I no longer had to piss. That's all I really cared about. Nobody, nobody else got, because whoever, if they ever found out who the company, not the company commanders, but the rank and file people, if they ever found out who was not flushing the toilet, they would have got their ass kicked, because back then they didn't give a fuck. So I didn't want to be that guy, and somebody would have seen me. You know what I mean? Even if I could have snuck
Yeah.
out of there and snuck back into ranks, somebody would say, "I saw Blais," and I learned that lesson because my bunkmate, and we were going to escape. We used to go every Sunday. True. They would have a religious ceremonies, and we would go. It didn't matter. I went to like Greek Orthodox, Jewish, whatever they were having. It's like, yeah, we're going. Me and my bunkmate would be like, because on Sundays was the only time you would get off, and because I was in a fuck up company. Not only was I the fuck up, but the company in whole never really earned these privileges to have relaxation time. We did, but it was very, very limited. So they couldn't stop you from going to something religious until the point they were like, you and Walcott, you are always going to these religious things. What is your religion? Because it says Roman Catholic on your dog tags. We're not letting you go to anything that's outside of your religion. They put the kibosh on that. But by that point, okay, we'll find another way around. But we were going to escape. So we were like talking to them. We were planning to the bunk because it's like they see two recruits running around in dungarees and stuff. They're going to know. So we had these sewing kits that they give you in your bag and stuff. And we had all this plan. But one of the dudes that was the bunk next door, he had a falling out later on in the day with my bunkmate. I don't know what their problem was. Didn't concern me. I didn't care. But he heard us plotting our plan. So we were going to escape. We were like, this is how much time we're going to have. This is where we're going to be. We will be gone before they realize we're missing. So he told the company commander. So we finally earned this Sunday thing. We got Sunday off. I get called into the office, and then the company commander that was like John Wayne. He was a master chief, very old school Navy kind of guy. So if you know what that picture was like, he was a master chief. Old school, and he had this twitching talk like John Wayne. He goes, Blais, I hear you and Walcott are going to escape, or going to try and get out, or I don't know how he put it. And I'm like, whatever gave you that idea? I like it here. So he's like, you could do that, but they're going to find you, and they're going to catch you, and they're going to bring you back, and they're going to bring you. It is a SNL sketch, and they're going to bring you back to me. And then she's telling me all the horrible things she's going to do to me. And I'm like, okay, I'll take that under advisement, but I don't know what you're talking about. So I come out of there, and I go up and I'm like, hey, they know. We're going to have to put this off a little bit and plan a little bit better, because I don't want to get caught. It was something that I didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to do it that day. Like, I don't want to get caught. Let's plan it out a little bit better. But at that point, as a team, there started to be some cohesion, and life in basic training changed. I still, didn't like it, and I still had my attitude, and they didn't like me. But it didn't. As a matter of fact, they didn't like me because I'd taken these tests and stuff, and to what my attitude was, because I didn't have a school, and I was going to be very difficult class was photographer's mate, and I scored well for that. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah, man, it was beautiful.
Wow.
But back then, I was the fuck up. So they stuffed my orders to go to Photographers Made A school in the back of my jacket. So I get to my first ship in Guam, and they reconcile your orders every time you go someplace. They reconcile your files. Is this true? Is this still true? Is this still your spouse? Is this, you know what I mean? They reconcile something, and then he pulls out of the back of my jacket. He goes, "How come you didn't go to Photographers Made A school?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, these orders are for Photographers Made A school. How come you didn't go to it?" And I'm like, "Nobody told me about it." I'm like, "Let's go now." I'm ready to leave. He goes, "Nah, it's not the way this works." Shoves it back in there and says, "Welcome to Plum." Hands him back. So, yeah. So again, so you could see why my whole disdain for the thing. But again, in that thing, that would have taken me on a different trajectory. You know what I mean? Instead, I was at ground level. I was a bosun's mate in my rate, officially, if you want to know what that was. Um, but that put me in a position that, you know what I mean, I might not have done well as a photographer's mate just by my learning aptitude, mindset, and that sort of thing. And it would have been a completely different trajectory. So at the time, I was kind of upset about it, but it worked out for me.
Good, good. Yeah. And we're just about at normally a break time. And hello, Wade. Welcome in. And this is Kevin.
That way.
Wade, Kevin. And Wade lives on the west side of the Phoenix area. So
Oh, I know.
southwest. Yep. So he's here. And Kevin's in Rochester.
Rochester, New York. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Webster, but Rochester.
Okay. In that area. So
Right
how
next door.
did you get back to Rochester?
Well, so after the Navy, obviously, I had like, a lot to process. And then again, I was affiliated with that whole Grateful Dead thing. But at that point, I was a little bit older. I could pretty much live life on my own terms, and that would be, just basically being a deadhead. So I, got out of the Navy, lived in Berkeley. My mindset, though, the whole time while I was doing all that was I was always kind of trying to think, you know, life would be better if I had a stable thing, this, and this. So I'm trying to paint this picture. I keep telling me I'm actually retrospectively living a really, really, really free life in terms of like I didn't while I wasn't rich and you know what I mean. I never was hungry. I always had a place to live. I always had food and I always had pot. So I mean, in the scheme of things, but
Priorities. Priorities.
no, seriously, in the scheme of things, that's really abundance because that's what I wanted at that point in time. And I was taken care of, and I didn't even realize it. But I'm in my mind, I'm 4 steps ahead. I'm like, yeah, if I get a really decent job and I could do this, and then that'll allow me to follow the Grateful Dead and do this. So I'm putting all this stuff together, which really didn't pan out the way I thought it would. But that's where I was at. So as I was living there, I went to I lived as a painter, followed the Dead, and then started to my generation was transitioning, and there was like a lot of club scene. Rave was underground at this point in time. It's now a big thing, Coachella and all that stuff. And this was done in warehouses underground, very clandestine, and I got involved with that. I remember, if you ever read the electric Kool-Aid acid test, and it talks about like the Grateful Dead thing, the first rave I ever went to was this underground thing, and a friend of mine had said, "Hey, you got to check this stuff out, it's pretty cool." And anything where there's people hanging out, music, and drugs, I was into at that point in time. So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But I remember walking in my very first fluorescent lights, people body paint, hard techno music. It sounds like machines fucking, really. And I'm like, and I was just overwhelmed with all this things. And I realized, well, this is actually my generation. I love the Grateful Dead, but this is the same thing. It's just recycled, but this is an energy. And it had the same type of positive thing. So I kind of, hey, Harley. So I kind of got involved with that thing. But that um, leads to a different path. Again, my trajectory going off in a direction that I probably shouldn't have been going into to keep me on my path. Ultimately, I had a, a, a thing where I realized it's like, well, I could stay here and I could really go down this path. I mean, it looks like a lot of fun, and I'll have a lot of fun. But I saw the self destructiveness. I saw that this is going to be my path, and I know where the path ends. I know how that ends, and I know where it's going to go. However, I take it, even my best intentions, I don't want that to happen. But that's just really the energy. That's what's going to end up happening. There's no real way circling around. I left my own device on to do that. So I said, I should probably move back home. My sister was having, my nephew was being born. And my other nephew, my brother, he has 5 children and stuff. So there was a family pool that I thought that I'm like, well, you know, they have no idea how, you know, they're living in the bubble of what's happening. But I saw the world changing also, to where, where we're going, where we're just where we are. But I saw that. I wanted to be something positive, a positive force in my nieces and nephews' life, and my mother and everyone. So I felt called. I could have stayed. You know what I mean? But it just didn't. There wasn't something in me. And I remember, I was at a Cherry Garcia concert, and at this point I had such a panic attack, such anxiety, and since this point I have never had it so bad. Everybody gets panic attacks and anxiety. That's just human. But I've never had it so bad. But it was consuming. I mean, all consuming. I thought for sure I'm going to die. So here I am at this Garcia show, and I got great view. Jerry's like right in front of me. It's the Warfield, a very small place. The energy's pumping, and I'm feeling that I'm about to die. And I'm like looking around, and I remember surrendering myself to the universe. I was like, look, man, I don't give a fuck. Because if I die here, where would I want to die? I mean, think about it. Is there a better place to die? So if I gotta die, and apparently this is what I'm feeling, this is what's going to happen. I mean, life is horrible and it's all crashing down on me. So if this whole thing is the whole bottom's falling out, and this is it, this is my end. Well, this is no other place I would rather be than here. So I surrendered to it. I'm like, go ahead, take me. I'm ready. Let's do this. No, no, you're not done, man. You better do something else, kid, because death is certainly not the option. So I wrestled with that, came to that whole thing, and moved from the Bay Area because I saw my destruction there. That was obviously the death. Yeah, if you want to die, you can certainly do that here, or if you choose to live, maybe you can spread light somewhere else. So I decided to move home and try to be that light.
Were you taking any classes in spirituality at all? Did you have any when you went to Berkeley or any in the area? No.
No, no, this is, I this is all knowledge, self-learn, because I don't know that there's I'm more receptive to taking classes, but at the point in time it was just this is something I had to learn. I think foolishly I should be more taking classes so I can understand exactly what's around me. But mine is from my perception and my in mine what works for me. So I don't want to, it's an intimate relationship that I have with spirit in the universe. Like everyone else, you, me, all of the others, we all have that.
Yeah.
Classes, I think, are something that is beneficial, but I never actually did that because I'm the type of person that's just I got to learn by experience, and
Right.
that's the route I go.
No matter what anybody tells you, you're still on that journey.
Exactly. You're never really off your
No.
path. I mean, you might deviate from it, and I think that all those deviations and all that those course corrections and stuff like that serve a purpose to later on down the road. I don't remember who I was explaining this to, but it's kind of like a puzzle that, you get all your pieces. Yeah, I was on one of your chats actually. And you get all the pieces. When you put together a puzzle, you put the outline, and here's part of the house, here's part of the trees. You know what I mean? You put it together. Well, spirituality, in my experience, is really the same way. I didn't really understand what I was learning until later on down the road when I was like, oh, I learned that. You know, so it all ties in together eventually and keeps you on your path.
And your journey is definitely different than what I've experienced because motherhood and being a grandparent and all that stuff, you've been through this so differently. And for you to stay on course, to stay on path the entire time, whether you felt you deviated from it or not, like you said, you're on your path and it was there and you just kept going forward. So it's great.
I think it would. I mean, again, this is more retrospectively. Um, I think it was. I agree with you, Victor, on that. I think it was always calling me. I think it's always calling me. You know, and then there's just times when, you know, my own obstinance and you know, I didn't always hear it. You know, and I think that's true. Everybody's path is unique. We all have a separate path. We all have a purpose. And you know, ideally, and this is, you know, theoretical, really. If everybody was living their path and doing what they were called for, we would be in harmony and there would be no conflict because everybody there's abundance for all and everybody has a purpose. You know, we all going that. That's where, you know, if you get into that whole, or if you look at the whole, you know, 5D, 3D ascension and stuff like that, yeah, that's all very real, but it's not necessarily, you know, I deal more on what I'm in. You know, I like that notion that, you know, there is all that extra stuff, and there is. You know, you can't deny what something someone else believes. It's there.
Right.
So yeah,
But you're one person on a ship in the middle of the ocean.
we are all one person
One person.
on a ship or a rock in the middle of the ocean or space, and that's
Yep.
really all what it boils down to. Because no one is on your path but you. And I'll
Right.
walk it with you. I'll share some footsteps with you. I'll
Right.
cross it every now and then. And that goes without anybody. But the
Yes.
bottom line is your path, start to finish, only you and that
Right.
person you see in the mirror when you wake up.
And even though we are individuals, we are also one.
Yeah. It's the duality. Isn't it cool?
Yeah, it is. It is. And definitely that everyone has a purpose, mission, and path. Yes.
Okay.
And and for us to have passed each other at this time is just, we know it's in sync with something.
Mm. Well,
And
I think it's to help, you know, expand positivity because somewhere along the line somebody's watching this perhaps, you know, and they're going to walk away with something, I don't know what, something positive, I believe, and then they're going to and they're going to go on and they're going to interact with other folks and they're just going to, you know, create something that just kind of grows. I mean, ultimately the energy shifts. And I only know, honestly, Julie, I only know two things about life and reality and everything. Everything is energy. Everything, it's all energy. And two, we can control energy. Now, there's rules in there. I've got a rule
yes,
book. There's rules within that, but that's a fundamental truth. Everything is energy, and we can control energy.
yes,
If you can at least subscribe to that on some level, you can bring harmony into your reality existence. I mean, if things are shitty, but they don't have to be. Life isn't something that you should suffer through. It's something that you should enjoy, something that you should create. And there's a lot of things that cause suffering, but ultimately it boils down to the picture that we paint. And I'm only seeing I mean, because if your
right,
experience is different, then that's cool. Mine's never been like that. It's always been the story or the picture I've painted in my life. And I've painted some pretty shitty ones sometimes, but I've also painted some really beautiful ones. And both have come to fruition whether or not I knew how I was doing it. I knew, you know, I know I was doing it. So if I am doing it, then there's certainly a way of doing it. And that is the whole spiritual twist on things. You know what I mean? It's manifestation. You know, if you're a witch and you're steering your coffee clockwise and setting an intention, that's the same thing as meditating and setting an intention. It's just by a different thing. So everybody has the ability to be spiritual to a degree that suits them if they're open to it. And that, you know, I mean, you don't have to be like, you know, I got to steer my coffee. That's the only way to do this. No, 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 man. You could do it this way. Meditation. We'll use that as a real simple example. If I talk to somebody, some people are like, I can't meditate. Well, yeah, man, you can't meditate because, well, you just said you can't, but you can because there's a lot of other things that are meditative that you don't even realize. So when you
right,
put that music on and you're cleaning your house or you're at the stove and you're creating a recipe of some ingredients that you have in your refrigerator, or you're painting a picture or something. You know, there's a meditative state there, and that is meditation, and that is creation, and that, you know, if you feel that, if you feed love into that or passion, that's why people create great works of art because they're creating it with passion. And this is, you know, that's the creative process, and we see that passion reflect in the artwork. Well, life is kind of the same way. You create your life with passion. You intention that, and you put that out there. You're going to see that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I would normally take a break, but seeing as how the video wasn't working earlier, I'm going to try it right now. So if we do go away, we're going to take a quick break. If we don't go away, we might have to grab a drink of water or something. Are you doing okay? But we will
Yeah,
start reading. Are you ready to start reading?
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Sure.
Perfect timing.
Hey, hey, before we go any further, and I know in the previous segment, I talk about, my period of, Grateful Dead and drug use and stuff like that. I do not advocate drug use on any form. To me, that's a personal choice. It's only the direction that I took, and it only worked out for me. Probably because I was too much of a dunderhead to let spirit soak through. So I needed weakening in the mind or opening of the mind. Anything achieved can be done naturally through meditation. Um, I'm lazy, so I took the shortcut and decided to take psychedelics or do whatever. But you don't have to be. So I don't advocate that. It's not how you don't need that to find whatever you're looking for. What you're looking for is here. It's with you, wherever you are. It's always right there. But we don't find it because we're looking out here. We're here. But you don't need drugs to find that. So although that's what I did, that's mine, I don't recommend that because I've seen a lot of people go terribly wrong
Right.
with that. And so that's not a recommend. That's not what I'm saying. So that's all I wanted. I just wanted to be clear with it because I know, we discussed that, and I'm not trying to glamorize that sort of thing. It's just what I did, and it's just what got me here. But it doesn't need to be something that you need to use to get to where you're going. All right, it's what you have. You have the tools within you. Just work with what you feel.
Yeah. I think it's Trevor Hall who has the song I have everything I need from the mountain to the sea. So, and I always love that when you're talking about you have everything you need. And yes, you went through that time. Grateful Dead was still traveling and still doing its thing. And that was the time.
Mhm.
And I was going to say I'm probably about 10 years older, and that was the time back then too. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know what I mean? And it's even still, if you go to see him, um, uh, even still, if you go to see like bands or reiterations of the bands and whatnot, um, you it's still part of that thing. You know what I mean? That's just part of the energy. It'll always be that kind of thing. It's just different. It's changed into something completely different. It's not so much. It's more mainstream now. Actually, it's more acceptable. Like you said, when you were younger, when I was going through it, even before that, I remember going to places as a deadhead, and people would spit at you. You know what I mean? It's like, you dirty freak. And I've met people that at that point in time they just don't. Like I said earlier, it's like they always thought it was very cult like, and so yeah.
I was going to say, and we have different kind of cults these days, and we don't want to get into that. But walk and live in truth, and truth shall set you free. Thank you, Wade, for that. And Don says a great place to pop in. Now I have to rewatch the previous section. I missed.
Don is awesome. I gotta tell you, man, I love whenever I see something with Don, like in one of his like YouTube videos or class or anything like that. Man, his energy just does. It's kind of like you're sitting there, like, boom, man, he just
Yeah,
pops up and he just sparkles, man. He just wow, he's so amazing to watch. And when he's giving a reading, and it's like, wow, he's just so amazing. And then when he's like talking last night about commanding the room, I'm like, well, that's easy for him to say. He can do it.
actually, you do command the room too. And I don't know if you caught any of his teaching yesterday or last night, but he was very specific on the new way, well, on the best way to give readings. I'm
Yeah,
hoping I can do that today. I'm getting practice, but this is you. I'm just here to back you up. So, and I know you have lots of talents.
wait, I'm the only one doing the readings. I thought you were doing them.
I'm gonna be. I'll back you up. I'm gonna be. You get to do it first.
All right, let's see
However,
what we get. Well,
okay.
let's go with that. Who are we
Fine.
doing? What's working here? Let's give it a shot.
We're going with the flow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we've got a lot of people in. I didn't pin anyone. Brenda, are you still here? You were like the first one in, so I want to make sure that you get first choice if you're here. And it's where your path lead you for your lessons and future wisdom. You have taken the experience to guide and help others. Yes, at this time we all have. Where am I at? Ah,
To
different.
walk a different path to serve our purpose.
Well,
You're absolutely correct, Harley. You are absolutely correct.
yep. So, yeah,
Hey,
still
Brenda.
here. Okay.
So, Brenda, do you have like I mean, what seems to be energetically amiss with you? I mean, I'm not gonna, I can't read love or I can't, tell your fortune or anything like
Uh,
that. But I
uh,
mean,
uh, don't say you can't. Don't say can't.
well, I don't. I don't do that. What I do is, I mean, if you have something that's energetically kind of like, well, I'm having a stumbling block here. I like to go in this direction, but I find myself doing this. If you have something in that vein, I can certainly I'll work on that. I don't like to be like, you know, the other way. I'm more of a kind of like help you maybe see something to work through an energy that you then in turn can walk forward with, if that makes sense. So what you got for me?
A 30-second delay. That was
45, 30. It's all really
yeah.
relative. I've already answered her question. I don't even know what it is. Yeah, no
Other than
politics.
politics, yes, please. Other than politics today.
I mean, if it's something if politics is what's on your mind and you're having a hard time with that, I mean, it's
It's
easy to look out.
understandable.
Yeah, it's easy to look out the window, but um, what you really, well, for myself, I find it's easier to just remove my energy. I'm not saying pretend that it doesn't exist. No, you should be very cognizant that that energy is there and that injustice is there. You know what I mean? That you never ever lose fact that it's there. What I feel that I do and it benefits me and might benefit somebody else is know that um I can change that by not lending any energy to it. So because it's really if you're on like one side of something and there's the other side, you're railing against it. It's the same coin, just two different sides. So it's the same group of energy. So if you have a really, really big coin, because everybody's energy is in it, then you have a really, really big, massive energy. It doesn't matter what side you're on. It all boils down to energy. And that's where you're focusing your energy. Because wherever your attention is, wherever your focus is, that's where your energy is going. Do you want it to go to that? Even if you're looking at it and saying, well, this guy is horrible and this is what he's doing is horrible. Well, and I agree. It's very bad. But once you get your emotion and you focus on that, it's like, I'm going to try to do something to stop that. You're now lending your energy to that. And it's noble that you want to fight that. Yeah, man, everybody does. But what we fail to see from a larger point, we're now part of that energy. So we've given, something that had 10 pieces of energy now has 11, which makes it grow. You know what I mean? And that's going to just fluctuate back and forth. I propose more so just focusing on what's important and pointing your energy in the direction of love. So whatever brings you joy, whatever brings you love, you know, wherever you can, just reroute your energy, your direction, what you focus on, what's important. You know what I mean? That's bad. Yeah. Don't focus on it. Focus more on what's good. This is what's good in my life. This is what's good, what I can see. This is how I can improve myself. Because ultimately, what you're doing is you're changing your energy. You're pulling your energy back. It goes to that prayer that you like to put up for Victor. You're pulling your energy from that shit show, both sides of it, and you're
Both sides.
putting it now into just a positive bucket. There's only one bucket, and it's just positive because you're not railing against something. There's no negative that you're forcing. You're consolidating, you're generating your positive energy. Okay, and that helps alleviate it. It doesn't change that yet. What it does is it shifts the mindset because now you're going to be centered, balanced, a little bit feeling better about things, you, locally to you. And as you go through, somebody else is going to come across like, man, these politics, this shit sucks. And you're going to sit down and you're going to be talking over coffee or whatever, steering your coffee to the right, making that intention, right? And you're gonna say, yeah, I don't like to think about that because I like to think about something more positive. And then your conversation is going to be more positive. Hopefully, they're going to walk away a little bit more uplifted. And balance is everything. You are correct. So you're good. Why are you asking me questions?
She didn't. She just.
That's right. You never did put a question in there.
She did,
Told
yeah,
you. I don't even know what the question is, but I just answered it for you.
right. But and I like the idea that she's and I don't use the word try. I work on balancing everything, and that's working for me. And I love that. Listening to my guides and help have has helped considerably. What you had made mention of something. Oh yes, pulling your energy back and making it more positive. That then doesn't add more negativity into the world. That still lights your flame or your light more, and it pulls back the lower, or yeah, it takes away from the lower energy that these people are, and I'm saying both sides are building upon. If you remove it, then they're not building.
Right. Well, it's just less currency that they have.
Yeah.
Our most our most important thing everyone has is energy. That's all. That's our most important currency. We squander it and we give it away, or we, nobody takes your energy. You freely give it. You might not realize that, but so our currency is energy, and you're right. You could pull it back from that. So if they have to put it in another term, If like uh, Claudine. So she'll, you could talk to her about this on Tuesday or something like that. She'll tell you that, she talks about the, like, lizard people and how they feed on loosh and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's real. Personally,
Right.
I don't believe that. But if it was real, it wouldn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me anymore.
Exactly.
But the thing is, the nuts and bolts of that whole thing is that, they're feeding off of our negative energy. So in
Yes.
that context, even though we're trying to rail on the side of positivity, they're still taking our energy and feeding in the negative, because it interacts with one or another. It'll shift, it might be positive for a little bit, but it's still in that pool. And that's the same type of thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So, Brenda, did you have a question or did that help? But you're doing the right thing in
Yeah.
listening to your guides. Oh,
If you could, that's truly, honestly, Brenda, long and short, that's great ground to start. That's where you're at. If you balance, you can achieve balance, grounding, and listen, and just be receptive to listen to your guides. Man, you have everything you need right there to take you forward. And then you can manipulate your whole thing, to be more positive, to bring in something good, as you see fit. But if you can achieve balance and then, listen to your guides, that's good. And I understand what you mean by trying. I understand what Julie says, no, I'm doing this, or whatever. But
yeah.
the important thing is sometimes, different things you don't always, you don't always feel in sync. But that's just the ebb and flow of energy. Because at the end of the day, the first rule, everything is energy. Love your damn self, man.
Yep. And the original Serenity Prayer that was printed. Now, supposedly, this is the second one written, but I always like to do it, say this. And it was written in New York. Anyway, it's, oh God, give us courage to change what must be altered, serenity to accept what cannot be helped, and insight to know one from the other. That was originally written in 1933, published then.
Wow.
Okay.
No, Brenda, you should not stop living. You're absolutely correct. Live a good, positive life.
And keep building on that positivity so that um, positive changes happen sooner. That's the only thing I can. Energy, building
Yeah.
up that energy. Yes, exactly.
If you really want to piss them off, be real positive.
Yes, that's exactly. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Um, Don says we have a great chemistry together. This is compelling watching. Okay, great.
That's because
St.
Julie's really
Francis
cool.
prayer. Oh, okay. The St.
You're
Francis
right, man.
prayer, actually, I think, yeah, we'll get into that some other time. Um, this is Lori DeMarco. I guess she's a friend of yours.
Yeah, I know, Laurie.
Okay.
You might say.
Yeah. As you know, Kevin, I'm frustrated with school and the poor education they're offering. I want something to change me, to
You
challenge
want
me.
some,
Sorry.
you want something to
How should,
challenge you.
yeah, how should I approach this next year? Keep going or give it a break? Ooh, love that.
Well, is this a decision that you really feel you need to make right now? Or are you just kind of mulling it over? I mean, you're going to keep going because that's your energy. I mean, you want to go forward. You always want to keep learning. Obviously, you're in school, you're doing something. This is something passionate. But sometimes,
Mm.
whatever's happening is going to happen. You know what I mean? If you want to go forward and it doesn't pan out because, I mean, maybe they don't give the class, or maybe it's just really not one that you need. And so it's like, you might be forced into take that break. So now you're at that scenario. How are you going to look at it? Are you going to look at it like, well, shit, man, I really wanted to go forward. Now I got it. Now I can't. And this is horrible. Or are you going to be like, well, I'm not going to be able to go forward at this point, but I'm going to go forward in this direction, even though it's a break. because you're going to pick up something along the way. Flip it around. You want to go forward if it's what you feel. Um, you know, I mean, that's really moving you. If this is your intention. This is what you're manifesting. Then go forward. You know, something will present itself, and there's not, you know, it's not going to be that. But if you're right now, you're at a point where you're indecisive and you don't know whether or not forward or back or, you know, sideways is your thing. You don't have to make any kind of decision because it's something that, you know, in 20 minutes I got to figure out if I'm going forward or not. I don't think that's a scenario. So sit with it and let it sit with it. Ask seriously, just clear your mind and ask your guides, hey, what am I doing here? Where am I going with this? Give me a sign. You're always going to get a sign. Really, honestly, you'll always see it. It'll come to you. You might not see it, but, you know, even if you miss it, and the next one will come along. So do that, and you'll see what you need to do. I mean, how you should approach the next year, you know, it's there. Even if you don't know the answer currently, it's certainly available to you. Just be kind to yourself and let it unfold. Don't be anxious with it. Don't live in your mind and be like, have to plan it out. Sometimes the situation's in charge. Sometimes it's like, you know, you can't plan it because there's no real clear course of action. In that scenario, I'd encourage you just to pause and breathe and just see something will unfold itself. Something very simple, maybe a phone call or a, you know, something that was like you're passing by and you see at school. It's like, oh, you know, this seems like something interesting. Even though this class isn't happening, I can do this one. So, you know, it'll unfold if you allow yourself to listen.
I'm also feeling that if that when she probably already has, or you probably have already done this, but write out your best case scenario, what is best, what you want to see the change. And it's just like Wade said, change the way you look at it, at things, and the things you look at will change. Because I'm really 2 degrees. Yeah. I really think you're going to continue on this current path right now, but you're going to, and I don't know why this is popping up for me, but what I'm hearing is you will rewrite the case law for education here. I don't know why case law came into it, but this is what I'm told. You will rewrite it and set it in motion. And I'm feeling there's a lot of power behind that, so I hope that helps. Education outside of class and present the information to instructor to incorporate it in class. Oh, I like that too. If you try making an animated cartoon for work, I'm struggling with this scenes.
I gotta ask, what does Angie do?
What does Angie do? She worked 3 jobs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that would explain it then.
Well, I'll just say she worked. I'm not going to get into where she works right now
Right.
because she's working right now. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
But yes, she's very. I wouldn't say customer service because I think it's more involved than that. But and she also works Amazon. That one I can say because she doesn't do that at this moment.
Well, see, I didn't know she had multiple jobs. I think that was probably the one piece of the puzzle I was missing. So I was like, every time, you know, I'll see a chat or a post from her, I was like, man, she lives such an interesting life. And then she's like doing this. I'm like, but I thought, what does she do? Then
She
she's like,
works.
I'm making animations. I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, what said? Well, AI is helping with animations and stuff, and I know that Don has been not verbally, but just by example is encouraging us to utilize animation to do things. I haven't really delved into that right now. I'm still working on um, um, written word and things that I have to accomplish through that. But yes, animation sounds very much a whole lot of fun. On compliance analyst. Ooh.
Me too.
Is an appreciated skit from my manager. Oh, that's great. That's great. See, I told you it was more complicated than customer service. Anyway, but she's good at what she does.
She certainly is.
Yeah. So, Lori, I hope that helped you too. This you're definitely going to be a bright shining light in the educational world. So keep doing what you're going to do, and reversing the decline of focus on children and there's so many words flashing through my head right now. Their needs, wants, and health, because mental health is very important. And I'm feeling that whatever you're going to do is going to help their mental state as well as help them learn better. I don't know what you do. I have no idea. But I don't know what classes you're taking or anything like that, but that's what they're telling me.
Yeah, I don't know what you do either, but I'm on board.
Skit AI. The skit I want is a bit more work.
The key, Angie, with AI is you really got to tell it what you want. So if you're painting, like if you're going to make like a picture or something like that, you have to really, really be descriptive. You know what I mean? It's like I want a green tree with some red leaves and interesting bark. And it'll throw you something. What you got to do though is you got to. The devil is in the detail. So if you want it to come out a little bit, you have to think of those little nuances that we don't normally think of in real life. And when I film a clip or I create an animation out of drawing or something like that, because I'm drawing, I'm adding that nuance in there. So when you watch Bugs Bunny, run down the stairs or whatever he's doing, all those nuances are there. And now you try to make an AI thing. It's like, take Bugs Bunny and have him, slide down a banister and a stair or something like that. Not going to look the same. But if you start to fill in, to color the picture, um, I do know exactly what you do. Color in the picture with that. You know what I mean? So, the finer details where you see it, and then it'll pan out. AI is weird yet, but depending on where you're going with that, you could do it, Angie. You're traveling around the world seeing concerts, and you may or may not be Carmen Sandiego. I haven't figured that out yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lori, for coming in and letting me read you. And let's see. Okay, Mr. Victor, what is your question?
Hey, wait, Lewis. Though we definitely want to
You
cover
want to go
Lewis.
Lewis first? Okay. Well, I
Well, I
have
don't know.
Lewis on the
Victor's got a question. He was here, Lewis. I just seen Lewis, but
yeah,
um, I don't want him
and
to
Lewis, I
leave.
got you.
I don't want to miss him, and I don't want to skip Victor either.
Yeah, we
Um,
need to get to Victor. And we have Bonnie and then Lewis, and I'll go back and look at the rest of the people that are on here too.
mm.
But Victor right now, Victor, and then Lewis. Yeah, you're very close. You're like third, so we definitely can get to you.
So yeah, Victor, I have a lot of familiarity with because he calls me sometimes, and you know what I mean. Depending on where my energy is and stuff, I don't like to answer my phone if I'm not energetically right. You know what I mean? So I sometimes feel bad, and it's not on Victor. It's just like he usually calls me like right at the time I get out of work, or work has been involved. And I got to cleanse my whole energy space after that because it's work, and I'm positive. But it's in some atmospheres it's really easy to be positive. In other atmospheres, you got to kind of work a little bit harder at it. Either way, I'm up for the challenge, but it just there's you got to recharge your battery. Um, so but I know Victor is very got this really wild, like he can really, and I think it's because of his autism, but he just really has a connection to like just the energetic field, and he can just, he can his mind can like weave in and out of it. Because I've seen him with like talking with other people and stuff like that, and I know with some of his neighbors, these people are like the next wall over, and that energy is seeping in. So for Victor, it's I feel that it really his focus is his grounding and his balance, because when he can be grounded and balanced, his whole energetics feel what I feel, Victor, for you is when you find that balance and you have it. It's just sometimes you got to wobble, and especially when weirdness moves in next to you, or maybe you live right underneath weirdness. In my scenario, it's difficult from my experience. I can relate. It's really difficult to put that bubble that's protecting you, especially if it's something that you're in contact with every day. Fortunately for you, that situation is separated from you, but you're very empathic to the point. So you're grounding and balance. I feel is your real should be your focus, because when you achieve that grounding and balance, um, everything else will come into focus. You've got everything else. Again, as I said before, we all have the tools we need to do what we're doing. Um, but when we get out of that, out of whack, and your kryptonite is your balance and your grounding. When you find that, and when you're in that, and I think you could agree with me, probably, that when you're in that scenario, and you are, I've seen you in that. You resonate, and the joy and everything that you're doing kind of goes. But then something comes in, that affects your wobble, and you lose your balance. We all fundamentally have the same problem, honestly. Um, but I'm familiar with you, Victor, and I know that that's kind of where it is, and I know you're susceptible to that negative energy when you lose that, and it's easy to seep in, and then just know that's where you got to focus. So if you ever find yourself in a moment of darkness where that energy, it's like, shit, man, my wobbles out. You just close your eyes, focus, and know what's important. Balance, grounding, and you could do that, and just bring yourself there. Then you got it. What do you got?
Well, to me, love is the most important thing. Yes, energy, but to me, energy, love, and power are all one, and it makes us whole. And that's what we are made out of. We are made out of this pure, perfect, unconditional love. And that's what my soul is made out of. That's what I embrace. And I've talked to you about that too, Victor. And I know it's, as an empath, it's easier to just be in the moment and whatever hits you, hits you. But you don't want that. You've got to protect yourself more than anybody else does. So, that unconditional love, you're talking balance and grounding. Self unconditional love will help you stay grounded and stay balanced, because when you have this love for yourself, you radiate it out. You can't help but radiate it out. And when you do that on a normal daily basis, as I say, and I've been working on 24/7, I'm radiating this, more positive things come back to you. So hopefully you can really work on the love too, along with the balance and the ground.
Yeah, you're right, Julie. I probably should have emphasized that in everything. And I take for granted that like everybody's like, yeah, love, man, that's the thing, because it truly is. Love is actually it, and love is. There's a lot of different. Everybody has a different concept, but you're absolutely right. There's just love and absence of love. That's the energy. Love is the energy, and when you feed anything love, that energy, it grows, it blossoms. If you remove love from it, or you feed it something that's not love, it dies, it wilts. So yeah, love is just something everyone, not Victor, just everyone should carry with them in their heart, and it's in your heart. You know what I mean? But sometimes we beat ourselves up. Sometimes we don't see that. Sometimes we don't always have that. And I remember the first time I met Victor, love your damn self. I'm like, no shit, that makes perfectly good sense. You know, that came across the street. I still remember, you know, just love your damn self. Come rolling off the screen. I'm looking at him like, yeah, no shit, that makes perfectly good sense. I know that. You know, thanks for reminding me for that, Victor. I'll never forget that. And don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And I know, to me, every time I see that, it's that I hear, feel, and know the phrase, physician, heal thyself. Okay? Love thyself. You know that. You say it, you live it, but then sometimes you let that, you put it aside. Keep it, keep it. It's part of you. Yes, Harley, we're going to get to, I did ask Bonnie if she had anything. She didn't reply, but Lewis, I'm going
I
to go
talked
with
about him
you.
last night.
Yeah. Lewis, real quick, because I saw his up and I was drawn to it as well. So good. Had a curveball sent my way. I recently started cooking for myself, meaning cooking for profit, but nothing is set in stone. Is this something I should pursue?
Okay, so Lewis, here's the thing. I don't know what you should pursue. Nobody here knows what you should pursue but you. But what I can tell you and share with you from my own personal experience, um, you know, sometimes you're gonna get thrown a curveball. And you know what you need to do. You know where your passion is. Okay, so look into that and feel. I mean, you meditate, think about it, and see, is this what you want to pursue? It doesn't matter should you or should you not. You ask yourself that question. Ask your spirit guide. Do whatever. That message will come to you. You'll get the signs. And you probably already know it. The fact that you're asking this question, it tells me that you want to pursue it. But you're just like, you know, what happens if I fail? Man, what happens if you succeed? So aside from wanting it, if you really truly don't know if this is something you should pursue, then figure that out first. I think you'll find that's probably something a direction you want to go. I think that just haven't seen you play it previously in chat, but I really believe that that's something that you want. So now the curveball, let's address that. Well, things in life happen. I mean that's just the way it is. You could look at it as like, well, this is happening to me or for me. I talked to Julie about that, how ironic, right? Um, but the truth is, sometimes a curveball will happen to test. Not, I don't even really like test, but the curveball happens to see if to offer you an opt out. You know, the curveball happens to be like, in my particular scenario, several times a curveball shows up, and you could go back to this comfortable, or in this misery, mind you. I mean, we scale that back. I'm comfortable in my misery because it's something I'm familiar. I go to work, I collect a paycheck, I come home, and I live at this place, and I'm comfortable. That it's what I know. So my growth is inside the body. There's no more growth in that. Okay, so from the curveball standpoint, it's sent to you saying, do you want to stay here? Because if you do, this is an option. Or is your path in this direction? Is this something you're willing to try and see through? Because you navigate through it how you see it, one way or the other. So is this something you want to navigate through? And it circling back to, is this something you pursue? If you truly believe that's your path and this is something you want, in spite of the curveball, no matter what happens, it'll be growth for the next phase. So, worst case scenario, you decide, all right, this is really what I want. We're going to go under the assumption this is your path, okay? And you make that choice, and the curveball, maybe it doesn't pan out. And sometimes shit just doesn't pan out, right? What happens though, in the ashes of that, you have an opportunity to go forward onto the next level or go back into what was comfortable. I got to cough.
Um, so, Lewis, isn't this a 360 from about 2 years ago? 2, 3 years ago? That you were, when you were going to school, you were also, um, when you were taking classes, you were also cooking. You really loved you cooking. I know it's been a while, but I think I remember correctly on this. And to me, if you're circling back, but you're doing it on your own, there's a reason for it because it is part of your path, and that you need to see it to fruition. Whether it, and I feel it's more on your own. It's sort of like what Kevin was talking about throughout, is that you have to do your thing. And I know you work for somebody else. If I'm, like I said, if I'm correct on this, um, you work for somebody else, and it was all going good, and they wanted you back. They wanted to keep you, but you had to do other things. So what I'm hearing is every person you have cooked for before will be an assistance in your current path of cooking. You're going to make a name for yourself, but that's totally up to you. I mean, to me, if you go 360 and you start again at what you did before, there's still a lesson. Why? What is that lesson? That you have to do it on your own. That you are the more creative person when you're doing stuff like this. You have to ask the questions because
Also, you know, it might also be a scenario. So you're cooking for yourself, or you're doing the curveball works its way out, and everything's happening. You know, you're doing what you want to do. There's always the chance that the path changes. I
mm-hmm.
mean, this is what's your path currently because it's going to get you to where you're going. We
Yes.
don't always see the end of the path. I don't know the end of mine. I don't know the ultimate goal. In fact, my girlfriend probably is insane because every time I talk to her, I was like, "The thing, I'm doing this thing." So what the fuck's the thing? I'm like, "The thing," you know. but, but I don't know what the thing is because I'm allowing it to unfold. Um, uh, but you know, and it's the same thing here. You know, you want to pursue cooking, you feel a strong pull, but maybe there's a little apprehension. Anything worthwhile is going to throw apprehension at you. Um, but you know, that you're pursuing, so it works out or it doesn't work out. You know, and the curveball decides it doesn't pan out. But in the wake of that, if you are, you know, not too self-absorbed to the point where you're like, oh, my life is ruined because it didn't work, and you don't strike me as that type of person.
No.
But I'm just saying, if you allow that to happen, that's the only caveat here. In the wake of whatever happens, you'll find a stepping stone, a piece, or something that you could then rebuild from. And that's just kind of the energy of life. And everybody goes through
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, and because life sometimes is serious and you really want to make the right choice. Sometimes we don't always make the right choice, even retrospectively, or at the time it seems like it, but might not be. So, I mean, the best thing I could advise if I were in your scenario, if it was something I felt passionate about, curveball be damned, I'm going to do it.
Well, I think the curveball was sent his way before recently he started cooking. So if the curveball was sent and he had to start cooking for a reason, there's always reasons for everything, right? Everything happens for a reason.
It's truly, Miss Napkins.
And hopefully Lewis is still here.
Oh, we got a lag.
Yeah, yeah.
He'll come.
Um,
He'll circle back around. He'll some even if he left on an energetic level above us, he got it,
yeah,
and it'll pan out.
yeah. But there's everything happens for a reason. I believe in divine timing. I mean, sorry. I energetically it feels right, but definitely feels apprehensive. But is that your second thought? Energetically, if it feels right, that's what you need to go for.
Mm. Yeah, that apprehension is just really your ego saying, "Whoa, this is scary business, man. I'm comfortable over here in our misery. Let's just hang out here because I don't know
Ex-
what's going to happen here, and I have no way of doing it." But your subconscious is saying, "Fuck it, let's do this. This is going to be a lot of fun." go with what you feel energetically. It feels right, do it. You got it,
Yeah.
man.
It's your energy that's saying, take the leap,
Yeah.
pull the fool's card and go for it.
My favorite card, really. You would think it'd be the sun because everybody loves the sun, but I like the fool. It's the beginning of the journey, man. Let's go.
I like that too. The manifester, the strength card. There's a lot of them, but the sun's okay.
Yeah, it's there.
It's there. But no, the sun knows I'm a Leo, and so the sun means a lot to me. But I embrace it. Okay, Harley, I know I had your
She
question.
did. I think her question was,
That
yeah,
one?
yeah. So really, that's cool because it actually works out similar to Lewis. What I was saying to him. I can't. I don't know what your path is, Harley. Only you know your path. Nobody can tell you what your path is, but you. So, inside you, you know where your path is. And if you don't see the path, or you don't, it's you're in tune enough to the point that you understand how it works. So I mean, if you're not seeing the path, just slow down and take a little bit, because it's there for you. You can figure it out. You're definitely creative. You certainly have, and I think like last night was the first time I ever actually seen you at the class, um, and it was just there was creativity there. There was just you could tell when you look at somebody well, sometimes I can tell. I don't know the energy. You can tell the type of person, just me, the aura or whatever the energy, and you strike me as a creative person just by just your energy, just the way you air yourself. So I don't think you have to worry about your creativity, channeling it. That's you know there's a lot of different ways you could bring that in if you're grounded to earth and stones or something like that, maybe carnelian or something like that. But if it's something that maybe you can go internally in your mind, meditate and kind of channel through spirit, whatever you're trying to create, and creativity's there. Just you have to be open to receive it and listen to it and let it come to you. Don't deny or think that you're not. That's it. Whatever your path holds for you, it holds for you, and you'll execute it well, Harley.
Yeah. And am trying to figure out who a female is that is into music and creativity. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either.
Yeah. And
I just
any,
felt that I just felt that like she was just trying to,
yeah. I was just wondering what that question was. But to me,
we have a follow up question, Harley.
yes, yes, we do. And I do want to pull this up real quick. Yes, the magician. To me, that's the magic, the master manifester. And to me, yes, I love the magician. That's my favorite. And then the
Yeah,
fool.
that's because we're all the magician of our lives.
Yes, I love that idea. Okay. And yeah, and Harley. And you've heard, and I know you're very into acting and stuff like that. Well, don't you want to be I've heard of a
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
guy that may be coming. Oh, okay, okay, all right. Sorry. Well, I'm glad I asked that question.
That's why we have
um,
follow up questions.
yes. Um, what was it? Where was I at? Oh, being a triple threat, being a four-time threat, being a five-time threat. I mean, doing anything and everything, writing, drawing, painting, singing, dancing, playing instruments, and acting. I mean, there's seven different threats you could be. So why limit it to one path of creativity? There's multiple. Whatever is your passion. But here, I'm going to pull that up.
And honestly, Harley, I think that thank you. I think that so for the guide, if you feel that there's a mentor or guide and it fits a certain criteria that's like, female, creative, female and stuff. When you're in creative circles, if your energy will attract that, you know what I mean? So not, you don't necessarily have to worry so much about, looking for that, because that, if that's something that's going to come into your orbit, it will be there. You'll be like, it'll just be something that's really organic. You'll meet whatever and stuff like that. Yeah, I like painting too. Okay, I like music too. And then whatever that relation is in terms of, if it's a creative collaboration or romantic or however that works, because every level, every relationship works really close to that. People are brought into your orbit, into your life to assist you. And that's just, that's the energy that you put out. So if there's somebody that's there, just be more, you just kind of like be more, put your energy in the energy around you, and just be aware of the energy that circles you, because you'll see that. Yeah, take what you need and leave the rest, Wade. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. The other thing, Harley, for when it comes to guides, hey, if you're channeling uh, someone who's already passed, I'll just go with one of Don's favorite. Say you want to channel Tina Turner, ask her to come in and help you. Okay? She could be one of your guides. Anybody. There's so many people you can call in. Anytime you need help or want a different direction, anything, that you've got a whole list of people that have passed that you would love to talk to or get advice from. Call them in. Talk to your gatekeeper and say, hey, can you go find this person for me? Bring them in, because I'd really love to talk to them.
It's even, yeah, just bring that, just know that that's going to come to you. Know that when you ask for it, it's going to come to you. And if you want to paint it, you want to focus your intention on something specific, you can. Um, but just be receptive to the fact that, okay, this is what I want to paint, and this is where I want to go. And then watch it come to you.
Yes, Wade, I agree with that too. Okay, love to channel MJ. Go for it, Victor. I would really love to see you do that too.
I've got a funny story about Michael Jackson and people channeling him, but it's not for now.
Okay, maybe a class when it's.
Well, see, the thing is, too, I should also point out, at that point in time, Michael Jackson was alive and well.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. We won't get into
Yeah, so
that.
then it even gets weirder.
Yes, it does. Anything else, Harley? I was still waiting for you to reply. Well, it is 10 o'clock.
It
And
is.
finally, the video started working. So, I mean,
Just before,
go
just
back.
1 second.
Okay, sure.
Again, Julie, thank you. This is really an honor to share this moment with everybody, not just you, but everybody that showed up. Really, truly an honor. And I'm blessed, and I'm so grateful that you gave me this opportunity. Thank you.
Well, it has been an honor to have you here as well. And everyone who comes in, I appreciate it. And as Wade will remind everybody to like, share, and all of that, follow, chat, because getting the word out about other people and their way of life, how they got to where they are today, helps others. So sharing it and showing the light to other people is very, very
Absolutely.
needed at this time. So
Absolutely. What it does is, you're welcome, Brenda. What it does is, you watch this and you don't know me from a bag of beans, but certainly you could tell that, obviously I'm just a regular person. So you're watching this. I'm not meaning you, Julie. I'm talking about everyone else. So you're
yeah,
watching this. Well, that guy's just like me. If he could do it, certainly I can do it. So I mean, it really is a positive. It's fundamental. Everybody has the ability, and that. So the choice is always yours. You know, and to this great guy once said, "Love your damn self."
Yes, yes. And thank you, Wade, for that, for putting it easier for me. And everyone who comes in, we really appreciate you. We are a collective. Um, there's so much I want to do with this channel, but if you have somebody you would like to see on, let me know. I know Harley has. Unfortunately, those in Australia, it's a little hard for them to do, to come in at
Well,
this time.
maybe you can have like one-offs. You know, if you have like somebody that's in a different time zone, you can adjust the time. It doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but that might be something that you could do. Hey, Pam. Yeah, daylight savings
Japan.
sucks.
I know everybody is having a problem with the daylight savings times. Even I did. So um, for the class, and I might be able to, but in December, well,
Well,
I
I'm
might
just
be
saying
able to get the
that's not
one
out of the
off,
realm of possibility.
right. But to get the collective who's on right now is a little hard because the time change for them to be live. Now that doesn't mean I won't do an interview and maybe send invitations to others so
Oh,
they
gotcha.
can be in the chat or something that isn't live to everyone, or maybe it is to that side of the world. I'll have to change up my sleeping for that day, but that's okay. Whatever I need to do to help them out, but I will still do the Wednesdays. Now, I'm going to do the Wednesdays from 8 to 10 Mountain Standard Time through November. I will start up again in January. Now, December is going to be um, doing commercials, doing lives just with people, quick ones, and getting to know them better. Hopefully, traveling and meeting them in person instead of
Awesome.
interviewing on here. That's what I would like to do. I did that once, a live um, in Corpus Christi. So I'd love to do that again anywhere in the world that I can get to, and make it worth everybody's while to see these people, because to me everybody has a story, and we can learn from each and every person. Like the tagline is connect, share, and inspire.
I
And that's
agree.
what.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely true.
So thank you, Kevin, and for you to
Thank you.
volunteer to come in today. I really appreciated it. Um,
My pleasure, really. Thank you, everyone, too. Anybody that tuned in, thank you. Your energy is just as vital as us. Thank you.
yes, if not more so. Yeah, great, great adventures in front of you, Julie. Thank you, Carly. And hold on a minute. Well, that sounds great. Looking forward to what's to come. Well, thank you, Brenda. And hey, Brenda, anytime you want to come on, love to
There you go,
see
Brenda. You can answer my question without knowing what the question was.
you. and and we are looking forward to January on Tuesdays for you to come in to class, Brenda. Can't wait for you to be back. I know you'll just add more energy to the class, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, anything else we need to do? You had mentioned something before, so I want to do this, and then we will be gone. But thank you guys. Have a
Thank you.
great one. Oh, maybe it's not working. The other one worked. It was the Valerie Bertinelli. I don't
Oh,
think.
that's right. Oh.
Now the videos aren't playing again. Okay, so we will see you later. Have a great one. Rise
Have a
above
great
it.
one. I love you.